Welcome back, everyone, and welcome, Landis. This is your first time on the show, so we're excited to have
Yes.
you.
Hello, hello. I'm happy to be here.
All right, so the big question for seniors now
Mhm.
is, so they sent in their deposit, they're free, right? They just have to show up on campus on the first day, everything's fine?
That would be delightful if that actually were the case. But there are several things that students need to do and be aware of before showing up to campus. And
Hmm.
we're here to talk about some of those items to make sure that students are being able to follow up on things that they have to do
Hmm.
before they actually show up and after they've been accepted.
Yeah, and I have to stress, I mean, I actually have a friend whose sister catastrophically forgot to accept her financial aid award
Oh,
and didn't realize it until too late, and then the
yep.
aid was gone.
And
So,
that's
ugh,
It's ridiculous. And funny enough, that's the number one thing on my list, right? Is
right.
that a student at the same time as they get their acceptance letter, they often are getting their information from financial aid as well.
Hmm.
And that's the number one thing that students need to do: speak with financial aid, see whether or not there's any more money they can get, or how they need
Hmm.
to follow up by signing promissory notes and looking towards what actual items they have to complete in order to make sure that they get that financial aid package so it kicks in right when they start school in the fall.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, students should be hyper aware of this because otherwise
Absolutely.
the money can. Because I know that, like, with this friend of mine, I mean, honestly, I was kind of like, I'm going to throw this friend of mine's parents under the bus. I was like, why weren't they involved in this? She's 18. What was it?
Yeah,
But, she kind of thought, well, of course they know I need the money, but
right,
they needed her signature and they needed her parents' signature. So,
right.
follow the details, like pay attention. I can't
So
stress this
important.
enough. Yeah.
So important because again, like the acceptance letter is just the beginning. That's just
Mhm.
opening the door for all of these other steps that need to happen before the student shows up on campus. And again, that financial aid is the biggest one. And
Mhm.
it's my number one item for students and parents to remember. Get the financial aid situation all aligned so
Mhm.
that again, starting this fall, everything will be nice in order
Mhm.
and the student can just again kind of pick up and continue.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I do have a list of other items that students should be
Please.
aware of.
Yeah.
So again, like the financial aid is number one, and they also have to accept the offer. Typically, schools give a deadline of May 1st for
Mhm.
students to accept their admission offer. But in addition to that, students must decline offers that they got from other schools as well,
Mhm.
not to leave them hanging. And that lets those other schools free up space for students that may be on the wait list or other areas like that. So
Mhm.
once you accept your offer, don't forget to decline the offers at other places.
Mhm. And even though this show is airing after May 1st, it's
Yeah,
not too late to decline the offers from the other schools. And if
that's
you're
right.
on the wait list, this is something to think about as well.
That's right. Because if you are on the wait list, you're hoping that those students are declining those offers as well because they've been
Mhm.
admitted somewhere else, right? And
Yeah.
that frees up those spaces for schools to again take students away from the wait list and bring them into the class.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The next thing to do is to make sure that your deposits are sent in and that you're signing all those documents that Sally and I talked about. You want to send in whatever money the school is asking for you to submit in order to secure your place in the class. Yeah.
Mhm.
The next thing to be mindful of, number four here, is that your admissions is a conditional offer. Okay. So it is conditional upon you successfully completing your senior year because you have to ask your guidance counselor to send in a final year school report. And this includes your transcript all the way through your date of graduation. And so you want to make sure that you don't rest on your laurels and be like, oh, I'm in, so I don't have to do
Mhm.
anything with my classes anymore. No, continue to study because if you do kind of slack off and things don't go so well, a school could possibly rescind that offer of admission.
Mhm. We did it at Chicago. There
Yeah,
was a student who dropped a few classes without asking. I mean, if the student had come to us and been like, I have mono, I can't do all
right.
this, we would have, of course, said, we understand.
Absolutely.
But she dropped, I think, three classes, actually, three of her academic solids. So we
Jeez.
withdrew her admission. She had no good reason for it. Her admission was gone.
There it is. And
Yeah.
it happened when I was at Dartmouth and at Northwestern as well.
Mhm.
Students got the senioritis as it's called.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden they were like, oh no, like you took back my offer of admission? Oh yes. again, it's conditional, right?
Mhm.
You're basically saying to that school that by the time that you complete your senior year, you will have maintained those grades that you
Mhm.
demonstrated when you applied. And
Mhm.
that's really what they're hoping that you do, right?
Mhm. And I do want to stress though, again, like if you're sick, if something happens, reach out to the college.
That's
That's
right.
if it's a good reason, they're going to understand. They will be understanding. Have your counselor advocate for you as well.
Absolutely.
But otherwise, keep up your grades. I will also say too that even at University of Chicago, if a
Mhm.
student picked up one additional B or something, that was not a reason that we
Right.
were going to withdraw there. It was a real like dramatic
Correct.
decrease.
Correct. So if you get a B in that AP physics class,
Yeah.
that's fine. No, it
Yeah.
has to be something dramatic, right? Like a huge drop off in grades, or you drop courses, or
Mhm.
something like that. Again, stay in touch with the admissions office if there is something that comes up, so that they're aware of that situation as well.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
but like getting a B, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
no,
don't panic about the B. Yeah.
don't panic about the B, but dropping all of your classes, and
Mhm.
just like not doing anything, that could be problematic, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And this kind of like naturally leads us to the next part, is like stay up with regards to the communication that you have with the admissions office. The one thing that you want to do to make sure is that you sign up for your college email. So typically they'll reach out to you and say, okay, now it's time for you to set up your .edu email account, right? And so be aware of that, because you'll probably start getting some information directly emailed to you from the school that's going to your college email account. And so
Mhm.
you want to make sure to sign up for that. And you want to also join any social media. So try to follow your school's social media to see like what kind of updates and campus changes that may be occurring, so that again, you can stay very well aware of what is happening at the school prior to your arrival.
Mhm. But following social media does not mean that you can neglect to check your email. This is a constant
Absolutely.
battle with my students, so I'm going to say it again. You got to check your email.
You have to check your email. So again, they'll probably be using your personal email for a little bit. And then once you sign up for the school's actual email, that's something that you should be on top of as well, so that you are getting all of those communication pieces
Mhm.
too. Yeah,
Mhm.
check your email, kids. Okay, don't forget. Like your school may not be is probably not going to be tweeting you, or they're not
Mhm.
going to be Snapchatting or
Or
sending TikToks or
texting
anything.
or
Right.
yeah.
They're going to be much
Mhm.
more into the email. So
Mhm.
please stay on top of your email. Follow those, because those are going to be the biggest line of communication that your
Mhm.
school is going to be having with you. Um, number 6 is start to look for orientation programs.
Mhm.
There are some college orientation programs that happen in the summer that they want first year students to get on campus maybe a little bit earlier than other students. So look out for those orientation programs and what those dates are. And also schools offer placement exams. So sometimes they'll give you an opportunity to take an exam to opt out of one of the requirements that may be given for first year. So also look to see what kind of placement exams your school offers, if they give you an opportunity to kind of like, again, skip over an introductory level course. And
Mhm.
that again typically happens within 1 or 2 weeks of the actual semester beginning. So again, make sure that you're aware of those deadlines, those dates for the orientation and for the on-campus placement exams.
Mhm.
Right. I know when I was at Dartmouth, we had a campus experience called the D trips, so that
Mhm.
students could go on campus a little bit earlier, but actually experience different hiking or camping or canoeing prior to them going on campus. And this became one of the ways that first year students could bond and get to know each other, because students on that trip with you would often be in different dormitories as well. So you would
Mhm.
be able to find students from all over the campus and really have those kind of connective experiences prior to the actual term beginning.
Mhm. Yeah, I can't recommend those enough. We
Yeah.
had those at Reed as well, where
Mhm.
I went, and I didn't go on one because I just come back from a year abroad.
Oh,
And
okay.
my mom was like, "I'm only going to have you home for 3 weeks. Are you kidding
Right.
me?" Like, so, but in general, like the students who went on it all loved it, and
Mhm.
they had already had like a group of friends as a result. So,
That's right. That's right. And that's one of those experiences that carry through almost throughout the entirety of your
mm,
college experience, right? So any of those orientation programs, look for them, make sure that you're able to attend, because
mhm.
again, that does give you some kind of good bonding experience with other kids. The funny thing is, Sally, I didn't go on one either.
Oh.
Um, I'm pushing them right now because like I was a Boy Scout, so I didn't
Mhm,
want to actually go on a hiking trip because I had
mhm.
done that already.
Right.
But when I got to campus, like the students and the other first year students in the dorm were like, "Oh my goodness, my trip was so amazing. We ate
Mhm,
s'mores and we talked about our lives." And I was like,
mhm.
so jealous.
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly,
"Oh."
exactly. I mean, it was the right thing for me to do to stay home because I had been away for a year, but yeah, I was jealous too. I was like, that
Right.
sounds like a lot of fun.
That
So
sounds like a lot of fun. And I was like, oh, why didn't I?
yeah.
Um, Number 7 up on my list is don't forget to start sending in and looking to see about sending in your medical records.
Hmm.
Choose your insurance options. If you're staying in parents insurance, want options through the school, and also make sure that you create your emergency contacts. So
Hmm.
any of this kind of medical related uh, options you should look into getting done before you get to campus as well. As you can see in the news lately, some schools are starting to require COVID vaccinations prior to students coming to campus. So
Hmm.
you want to be aware of what your school status is regarding that vaccination, along with other vaccinations that probably came
Hmm.
along in your childhood, including things like polio and the MMR vaccine and things
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure to send all of your medical records to the school so that they have them available when you come to the
Yeah,
campus.
traditionally MMR is going to be required for a community college. It doesn't
Yep,
matter if you're not living on campus. So I
that's
think
right.
the vaccines, yeah, look out for these. Yeah.
That's right. So again, making sure that you are checking with the school and getting all of your medical records. If you have any other pre-existing conditions, again, being able to let the school know that those are there so that if something comes up, like maybe you have allergic reactions and you need an EpiPen around all the time, again, those kind of things the school needs to be aware of. So making sure that they know about your medical history and that you are signing all those documents and waivers is going to be very important as well.
Hmm.
Okay. Next, kind of along these logistics lines, uh, do you have a bank account? How are you going to travel? So thinking about setting up a bank account if you don't have one can be an easy way for your family to send you money. It can also be an easy way for the school to then deposit money into your account if you do work study. So like thinking about having a bank account set up and ready prior to getting to campus is going to be a very good thing for you to do.
Hmm.
Okay.
And it'll probably be in the information packet, like bank accounts or banks that
Absolutely.
have branches close to the campus. So look for that.
Absolutely. And you can also do some research prior to going to the campus to see, like,
Hmm.
okay, out here in Philadelphia, for example, there are a
Hmm.
lot of PNC branches, but
Hmm.
over here in San Francisco, there are a lot of Bank of America branches.
Hmm.
So, like, you want to see, like, okay, how accessible are those branches for me and for my family? Are they connected? But with a lot of things that are happening now, like with Cash App and Zelle and Venmo, it's a
Hmm.
lot easier to send money between different banking institutions, but you
Hmm.
still want to have a receiving account so that,
Yeah.
like, again, your parents or family or who's ever supporting you, and again, with work study, you want all of that direct deposit into your own account.
Hmm.
I remember having at least 2 accounts. It's funny because I think my first account was with Baybank
Hmm.
in Massachusetts, which then got bought by Fleet Bank, which then got bought, I think, by Bank of America. So there were a lot of like acquisitions and stuff. And so the original bank that I had when I was in college is now a huge multinational corporation, right? Just because of all the mergers and acquisitions and everything that happened in the banking industry in the 90s and 2000s, especially after the 2008 financial crisis. So
Yeah, yeah. It can
so yeah,
happen.
so right. So the bank that I had when I was in college does not exist anymore.
We're all dating ourselves in this show.
I
So
know.
Yeah. So Landis, just so you know, we have like 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Okay.
So the final couple of items that I want to say, and then I'll give a quick summary again, is also think about your room and board selection. So finding a room on campus, like they will often give you information about selecting a room, and along with that, a roommate. Okay,
Hmm.
and you want to make sure that you fill out all of those forms and also select what your dining options will be. So they'll give you information and details about that. So that's going to be your room and your board. And then after the roommate situation has happened over the summer, I encourage you to contact your roommate. Just say, hey,
Hmm.
what's up? This is me. So that they get a little bit of a heads up and you get to know them and they get to know you. And then finally, make sure that you send all your final payments before the
Mhm.
semester begins. Again, this loops back to number one about speaking with financial aid, so that again, you know what is required and you're able to make sure that all of those documents are sent and received and all the money is done and all your funding is in, so that you can start that semester um, with no worries with regards to your financial aid.
Mhm.
So again, speak to financial aid, accept the offers online, decline the other offers, send in your deposits and sign your loan documents, keep up your grades because the offer is conditional, set up your email account, sign up for those orientation programs, send all your medical records, think about getting a bank account set up, get your room and board selected, and then make sure all your final payments are in before the semester begins. So those are some of the things to do, 10 things to do before getting in. Now that you've been accepted, what you have to look forward to do this summer.
Okay. All right. Thank you so
Cool.
much, Landis.
You're welcome and enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely. You too.
Okay,
All
bye.
right. We're going to take a short break, and then Lauren D. Prospero will be telling us about paths to medical school.